Well, hello out there, all you beautiful people. It is September 25th, 2022 for you people in the future watching this. And for all the people that come on here live to watch me and everything like that, I appreciate you taking the time because it is a rainy Sunday, even though it's not in the title. So, over the past month, I've gotten around. I've gotten stuff in the mail. I've gotten stuff from eBay. I've gotten stuff from Gmart, my online comic book store, and I've gotten things from honey pots all over the place and stuff. And it's an end of an era, or at least it's supposed to be, right? 7 years I have been traveling for this company. Once, twice a month, 2 day trips, 3 day trips. And the last 2 weeks, I've made 2 trips, 5 hours one way, 10 hours round trip, all over the place. And along that time, I'd be able to stop here and there and find all the wonderful things that I show on this channel and stuff, right? And it's at an end, okay? It's at an end. I've done my last one. Hello, David McKenzie. Great to see you, man. It's at an end, so I don't know if I'm going to be showing you as much wonderful things or there'll be wonderful things in the future here and stuff, right? So I am surrounded here by comics and everything, and books and paperbacks and treasury editions and keys and those spec books that I laugh about and stuff, right? But I've gotten a lot of great stuff. Very fortunate and been very busy. So what you see here with the setup, it is what it is today, and we're going to get through this and look at some books so some people can like jump in here. Let's get this out of the way. I have a video from 2-3 months ago before the show even started. I don't mind the question, Ross, not at all and stuff. But no, I'm not going to be watching Sandman. I have seen a few clips that people have been putting on reels and shorts on various social media. We all know what they are and stuff. And again, I'm going to reiterate. I know two people now. It has been one. It was one up until last week of all times, but I have one person who has watched one episode and one person who has read the Sandman books. The other person hasn't. I actually let him borrow a book that I have on Sandman that walks you through the whole series just to see, give him a sampling, see if he wants to collect it. But no, I have not watched it. And the one person who has read all the books, then I have a complete set of Sandman and tons of extras and trade paperbacks and stuff. I was there since issue 7 off and on. Really picked up around issues 20s, in the 20s with Seasons of the Mist. It's things like that. Anyway, but no, I have not watched the show. I'm still not going to watch the show. If they get a second season and they cover Seasons of the Mist, that may be too much for me not to. But I hope it's a raging success. I hope people rediscover the books. And the one person, again, who has read the story, he sent me one text, said, not bad. That was his review. I don't know. Like I said, I have my reasons for not watching. It's all in that video, which actually is still kicking. So if the show was great, that's fantastic. The clips I saw, interesting, very interesting. I'm not going to poo-poo on it, but definitely the one clip I saw, I was like, that's neat. The one clip that I saw, I was like, that's it. In the book, it was more majestic. Let's put it that way. And, you guys are loving the show. That's fantastic, man. That is just fantastic. John Jones here, episode 6 by far is the only one I recommend to watch. Okay, I got you. The Sumerian. Hey, man, before you get started, how did you like Alice Cooper? I'll cover that, man, while we give it to some people here. Let me get John Jones's corrected comment up here. Episode 6 is the only episode he recommends. We may be getting Netflix in November. My wife really wants to watch this Wednesday Addams show. So maybe I'll give in and I will watch episode 6 because, John, man, we go way back on here and I trust your recommendation. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so the Sumerian and Ross Sanders, everybody's jumping in here. I saw Iron Maiden back in 2017, I think. Ghost was opening for them. That was a bucket list band. It was fantastic to see them. Great show. Highly recommend. And the Sumerian is asking me about that I like Alice Cooper. That's one of the reasons I haven't been on here. I really can't remember the last time I streamed earlier in the month. I did one show on the Fossils show on Graphic Man's channel. And then I really don't remember what's going on, but we went to the Blue Ridge Rock Festival, which was a 4-day event that was epic. I kind of recommend to go see the setup and the bands, but they really screwed up on the shuttle busing. We were in line for hours and stuff. I didn't get back to the hotel one night at 3 in the morning. But Alice Cooper blew everybody away. I saw Phil Anselmo, Buck Cherry, a fantastic band out of Texas called Blacktop Mojo. I saw tons of them, man, tons of them. On my Facebook, I put some videos up and a bunch of pictures over the days and stuff. We had a blast. It was great going. Absolutely loved it. And got a hike in at a local state park that was an hour, a mile and a half from our hotel, because it was an hour drive to the show every day. So it was great stuff, man. I had a blast. Absolutely. Saw Anthrax, Alice Cooper, Down with Phil Anselmo. I can go on and on. It looks like we're going to have internet problems because there's a storm. Now, I'm going to talk like it's going on. It was a metal show with a few little rock bands and stuff. Okay. So anyway, we're going to trust that the internet's working. But this morning there was not going to be a show. That's why I'm not calling it Rainy Sunday. It wasn't an early show because been real busy seeing the world, doing things with the wife and everything like that, having a blast. Just all there is to it. Getting a roof put on the house, which I think they're finally done with. All those grown-up things. And then I decided I needed a break before, because the next week of work is going to be hell. We're at the end of the month, all kinds of deadlines and stuff to get in, paperwork, And I was going to go for a hike. And the place I was going to hike is a state park about an hour and a half away, maybe 2 hours. And then I started seeing the rolling clouds as I went down 77 South, getting ready to go through a tunnel that they drilled, almost 50 years ago through the mountains. There's two tunnels through two mountains on 77 South, about 20 to 30 minutes apart. And as I came up on the mountain ridge, being able to see the top of the mountain, I looked over on the scenic route, and there were like thunder clouds coming from the depths of Mordor, if you will. So I pulled over and double checked the weather, and it said scattered thunderstorms. Now I will hike in the rain, but I will not mess around with a thunderstorm. And the wind picked up. So I stopped at a honey pot and got some great books you're going to see this morning, man. So it's going to be fantastic, right? So we're going to get to them here. I have two cats, Ross Sanders. Man, you are inquisitive today. Yeah, I have two cats. They're outside the door. Yeah, cat guy. Love herding dogs. If I gotta get a dog, Australian Shepherd would be the way to go. I miss the one I owned about 12 years ago. Really miss him. Miss her. Her name was Gypsy. Anyway, I have two cats, Shiva and Lester. So there's a storm outside. We were having severe thunderstorms here. So technically it's a rainy Sunday. So we'll just plow through here because I'm not exaggerating with the stuff I got to show here. It's semi-organized, but I'll be doing callbacks and stuff, right? Because it's not completely organized. So if you guys are ready, if you guys are here and ready, let's talk some comics and look at some stuff here, right? So what we have here, there are tons of videos reviewing this nice hardback book that is through Abrams with some kind of deal through Marvel. And this is Alexross Fantastic Four Full Circle that takes place after issue, I don't know, 51 or 52 of the Silver Age Fantastic Four story Manor Monster or something. It's a classic, I'm butchering it, whatever. But what I'm wanting to get to is I went through this. This has been a labor of love to Jack Kirby. I can't believe Marvel actually turned it down for, at one point. But Alexross has done some wonderful pencil work in here. He helped color it with somebody. Some fantastic stuff in here. I probably got a quarter of the way through it as I was looking at this hardback. And like I said, tons of reviews. I've been up since 7 in the world today, guys. Anyway, tons of reviews. People have already made videos on the book. And I made it through probably 3 or 4 minutes of several reviews of the book, because there's no use in me doing one. Because I'm going to be that guy. I want to own it. But it's one thing I have no problem with somebody talking about comics with the knowledge they have. I don't care how long. I don't care if they've been in comics for 50 years or 5 minutes. But be authentic. Share your joy. If you're excited about it, let that shine through. But people started trying to do Fantastic Four history and Jack Kirby history and threw in some Stan Lee knowledge there, and I had to get off, man. I cannot handle people jumping on there and just being inaccurate with what they're doing when they were on a roll. They've got high production value, better cameras, all this stuff, a lot of flash. And there was a previews issue, previews copy of this came out that was exclusive to previews. I think there's only like 5,000 made, maybe. And it had a slipcase with this same book, just a slipcase. I mean, they had everything they needed, and then they just ruined their reviews by trying to be knowledgeable about comics and stuff. So we're going to put this up here because this thing is fantastic. The thing about that book, though, is as I got a quarter of a way through it, we're going to get this small rant out of the way as I sit here and see that my internet is messing up because of the storm outside. But anyway, the thing that got me is that when you start reading that, and if you've seen how comics have really been going down the hills, probably starting with 52, and then all the crap Marvel was doing around that time, and then around 2015, and then we get to 2017, then 2022, with where modern comics are, this thing will piss you off because it's just a solid comic book read so far with great stuff in it, great pacing, and it's action and it's venture. It's about the Fantastic Four. It'll show you that there's no excuse for the crap we've been getting for the last couple years. Rant over. Bam. Okay. So what we have here is a facsimile edition. Look at that. Starting out with the new comics, right? This is a facsimile edition. I have a mint set of, it's one of the good things about the Sandman kind of taking off on Netflix. Hopefully it's going to get a second season and all that stuff, right? Like I said, I'm not against the show at all. Nothing like that. But anyway, this is a facsimile edition of Sandman #1 that came out in 1988. And why did I get this? Because of one thing I like to enjoy. If I have the money, the time, the inclination, and it's in front of me and it's easy to get. Yeah, I'll collect Sandman all day long and stuff, right? But this is a complete reprinting of issue 1. The facsimile editions are fantastic because they keep the original ads, editorials. It's the exact same comic you would have bought. But what a lot of people need to realize is that as great as Vertigo, way before it was Vertigo when this came out, these were, direct market, straight to the comic book shops, straight to like Barnes and Noble. They were not on newsstand, if you will, right? Walden Books back in the day is probably more accurate because that's where I got my first issue of Sandman, which was number 7, I believe. So anyway, but this is on much better paper. They used very cheap paper back then. So when you get these, I actually have books where you can see how the paper yellows in those earlier issues and stuff when they were using cheap paper on these great books with great stories. Ironic, huh? Cheap materials, better quality stories, in my opinion, right? So this is on a higher grade paper. And I actually have issues where you can see how the yellow starts. It starts on the edges and it works its way into the center of the page. So a lot of these early issues, that's probably why. Maybe that is one good thing about the CGC grading. You'll know which ones have the creamy colors because they can look like they're in mint condition. You open them up and they're yellowed inside, right? So that's interesting. Okay. I have a little short box to put this stuff in so I can catalog it and stuff, right? Now, it's kind of obvious why I got this. Tim, you just went on a rant about crappy comics of today. I would say about 80% of the comics that I have give a chance from the big two and even a few of the smaller companies, if you will. They tend to disappoint. Every now and then I'll run across something that's, okay, there's some potential here, that's good, and then people walk away in their YouTube videos at least, and then in real life, it's always hearing some kind of disappointment. That's what's wild, right? So what did you get this? This is Harley Quinn number 21, I think, right? Yes, Harley Quinn 21. Well, it's obvious. I love Killing Joke. I don't like, I could give a crap about everything that people have attached to the book. I don't care that Alan Moore has, feels like it's formulaic, I guess, and stuff, with this book and everything like that. Right. But I don't know if this is an actual Brian Boland cover. If it's not, they have done a great job aping his style. But yeah, we have, an ode, if you will, to the Killing Joke and stuff, right? That'll go on the shelf with my Killing Joke books. And I have a first print that I got a couple months ago that I'm very proud of and stuff. So I'll get this stuff. I have a Booster Gold issue. We know I hate Booster Gold. There's the cat outside the door. But anyway, yeah, I got this because Killing joke. No regrets. No regrets. Okay. Now this, I'm looking for a new comic book shop, an online store. I have been with Gmart since, I don't know, 2002. A little gap there in the late 2000s where I wasn't really buying that many new books and stuff, right? So I pre-order stuff, and the previews is great. And this is, they have a, I don't know if it's a 5 or 6 issue miniseries of Hawk the Slayer. All right. One of the greatest bad movies ever that was on TBS as I was a kid, ever. In that dawning of kind of carrying over from the 70s fantasy build up from J.R. Tolkien and stuff like that, where we were having like Star Wars and sci-fi mania. All of a sudden, this little B movie came out. Had Jack Palance as the bad guy, if you will. Anyway, but Garth Ennis has come in and has done a sequel, Further Adventures of Hawk the Slayer, right? So I ordered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all there. I haven't got my number 1. I've got 2 through 4 in this order. So if you know what Hawk the Slayer is, I'm a huge fan. I have my VHS copy. If you know, I've never really looked to see if it's on YouTube for free, but it's a great movie if you like bad movies. Okay, I really can't believe it never made it to Mystery Science Theater, you know, but it's fun stuff. Garth Ennis doing it. I am so down. It's not that I would recommend this. I would only recommend this if you saw the movie and liked it, because the artwork is in it, but it's Garth Ennis. You know what I'm saying? Really excited to have that. What do we got here? Woo, look at this. Got all kinds of questions here. Ross, I'm not going to answer all these questions. We're going to be here all day. All right. Now, these books right here, I ordered off eBay, and I cannot believe the deal I got off of them. I want to say I paid maybe $7. But what happened was on eBay is I was kind of looking at them. I went ahead and hit that watch button on eBay, watch item. And within an hour, I got what was it, a 30% discount or something. So I think I got these for $5. In a minute, you'll see where my interests are starting to lie, because I was doing a little research online, laying on the couch at night, had my insomnia going, and decided to look up Philip Jose Farmer's Wald Newton books, right? The Wald Newton books is this theory he has about a little village that had a meteorite go over it, and it irradiated some of the people, and they ended up, their ancestors, thanks to the radiation from it, ended up becoming anybody that's been in pulp novels and famous Scarlet Pimpernel, The Shadow, Tarzan, all the pulps and stuff that Philip Jose Farmer loved as a kid. He connected them all, right? And this influenced many things in comics like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen by Alan Moore. Then League of Extraordinary Gentlemen ended up out and out influencing this book that Warren Ellis put out through Avatar around 2009, I think. I never heard of this, right? But it's called Ignition City, and you're going to see many, many covers for, I think it's 5 issues and stuff, right? But the concept is Ignition City is like an old hangar base or something in the 50s, and all those great sci-fi guys from the 30s have been grounded. Going into space is outlawed. So what happens to Flash Gordon and Dale Arden and Buck Rogers and Commander Cody, or whoever it was, kind of a Rocketeer dude and stuff that probably influenced the Rocketeer. I got all of these covers. They have multiple covers for each one. And Warren Ellis flat out said League of Extraordinary Gentlemen influenced this book. In my interpretation of Warren Ellis, I always thought he had a little bit of Alan Moore in it and stuff, right? So these are just fantastic. These are loosely, they're not actually Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, but you know who they are. And I read the first issue, and where it's Avatar, I don't know what the deal with Avatar is, but it's like they always want to put in a little H.P. Lovecraft feel or something to everything they put out. There's some gross stuff in these that I feel are unnecessary. Not that I'm against it. It's just that I don't know why they did it, and it didn't really fit in the story and stuff, right? But Buck Rogers is walking around, returned to the 20th century from the 25th century, and everybody kind of thinks he's just sort of a little bit of a barfly that is just full of crap when he says, "I've seen the future, I know what's coming," which I thought was hilarious. So I'm looking forward to sitting down and reading these all the way through. Again, I actually looked up YouTube to see anybody reviewed them, and I found some YouTubers that did comic videos in 2009 I never heard of. I think they got out of comics real quick, and some of them are still making videos. So Ignition City, I hate to be moving along so fast here, but like I said, we got a lot of stuff. And Mission City may be my little gem in the wild there that hasn't been exploited or talked about a lot. I was digging it when I was reading it. Okay. And then I picked these up, man. Just that, like, I stopped somewhere while I was driving, and it was I don't know, man. It was like just a sideshow kind of store, where they had like a little bit of antiques, they had a little bit of records. They're just on the side of the road. They had a little gem mine in the back and stuff, and he had like he just had like a few comics, like in a little tiny bin. You know what I mean? Almost like a Ziploc box or something. Right. I picked up these two. I sold this run of Thor by Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends to my brother, along with my Captain America, like, I don't know what it was, 310 to 350, to my brother back in like 1991, 1990 and stuff, right? But I always really liked Ron Friends on Thor back in the late 80s, even though Tom DeFalco wasn't really, he was doing some neat stuff. Let's put it that way. It's a neat little book and stuff. It's kind of hard to follow Walt Simonson, you know what I mean? But I got the Celestial story because I remember liking it. Thor actually breaks into the armor of a Celestial, and you get to see what's inside the armor, if you will, right? So I was like, $1 a piece, done. They're beat up and everything like that. But there's an issue of Thor that's a callback to Secret Wars that they did also that adds to it. And I hate that I sold that to my brother. I'm always looking for that one. There's also a future Thor and the Thor Core story, and they brought in Thunderstrike, all this stuff, right? Now, I am picking up G.I. Joes and Transformers like crazy, right? I remember having my friend, a guy named Jason, who was older. My parents had split up. We moved into a old coal mining camp, if you will, on top of a mountain. It's about 2-3 miles of nothing but houses side by side on one road all the way through, with a park and a post office and an abandoned factory in the middle of it. It's called Jewel Ridge and stuff, right? And Jason was the guy that he was getting ROM, he was getting ROM, he was getting Team America. He had G.I. Joe comics everywhere, and because he was like a lock and latch kid, he kind of raised himself. His mom was never home, but he had taken his G.I. Joes, pulled the screw, unscrewed it, the back of his G.I. Joe figures, and he would mix and match the arms, heads, and torsos and make his own G.I. Joe. And I just had never seen anything like that at that age. Like, I was in 4th grade, so it was easy to blow my mind a little bit. So I read his ROM comics. I read his G.I. Joe comics. He was into all this stuff, right? So a little bit of nostalgia there. But this is number 9 I got for $2. These are all like $1, $2 books. I haven't really, so great shape, right? Oh, look at this. It's a spec book because of the She-Hulk show that I don't know that anybody likes. If anybody likes it, let me know in the chat and stuff, right? But anyway, here is an Amazing Spider-Man annual. I may have shown this a few weeks ago, or at least maybe I showed it on the Fossils, but it's a John Byrne cover. It's She-Hulk against the Abomination with a Spider-Man in this god-awful Atlantis Attacks crossover that went through all the annuals back in the day, right? Back in 1989. But what's really sad about it is that it's Rob Liefeld art on the inside, and he's got Spider-Man in a pose. He has She-Hulk in a pose, and he has actually photocopied. Anyway, he recycled those two poses throughout his story in the comic, I guess, to meet a deadline or something like that, right? And it's like they've zoomed in and zoomed out of those two poses that he's put them in quite a few times and stuff. This is why I got rid of the book originally. So I heard there's like some spec on this book because of the She-Hulk show. And you talk about buyer's remorse. I know people who heard that the Wrecking Crew is going to be in the She-Hulk TV show on Disney, and they heard about this character, I don't know, maybe Titania and stuff like that. And apparently it's a joke on the show. So there's some buyer remorse for how they bought that Defender 16 or 17, paid so much for it, so it could be a gag on the show is what they've told me, right? Whatever. Hopefully, this became hot after the Abomination or whatever showed up in the show, and nobody will have buyer's remorse. I had remorse when I bought it the first time around when I saw the art inside. That's cruel, Tim. That's hard. No. I mean, that was an honest opinion of it. Nothing personal said, Got this, number 3. I bought the first 16, 17 issues of Warlock and Infinity Watch off of the rack. Angel Medina, I think that's the artist's name, did a fantastic job on it. Really don't know what happened to it. I don't know if I sold them. Maybe I sold them to my brother. I don't know. I don't know what happened to them, right? So I found an upgrade of a number one. Because it really was a fun series, at least for the first year. I remember 12, 13 through 16. I don't have a lot of memory on what was going on in the book. But you know, it lasted a couple years and stuff, right? But I'm pretty sure they hung around because this came out of the Infinity Gauntlet that Jim Starlin did on his return, along with George Perez shortly their return to Marvel. And I'm pretty sure they kept the series going to get the Infinity War and then Infinity. What was the last one? Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, Infinity Crusade. And I kind of think that may have had something to do with why they kind of had this book going. Jim Starlin wrote it. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. I found this for $1. Marvel Premiere Hercules. It looks like a Jack Kirby Vince Colita cover. I have no idea what's inside. I don't think it's a reprint. But you know, you show me a Bronze Age book for $1 that's in this greatest shape, stapled, complete, and everything inside. I'm going to get it. I think I got this as a flea market. I think I may have already shown these. Now, this issue broke my heart. I got these at a flea market for $1 a piece, right? And I think. Anyway, but this Fantastic Four, I was all excited about it, getting it cheap, number 139. I mean, we're going early Bronze Age there, right? Open it up. It is complete, but the first page is detached from the issue. So that's why I always say, if you get Bronze Age books, I need to practice what I preach. Take your time. Open them up. Ask permission. Say, can I look at this? Make sure the Marvel stamp's not out. Make sure that it's not damaged inside. Make sure somebody hasn't. This is when people were, they would clip out the coupons to order their, you know, X-ray specs or whatever, right? So I did not take my time, you know, so that's what I get. But at the same time, I just need the Incredible Hulk number 200. Why am I saying that? Because I have a coverless copy I've had since I was a kid, but I've never had Fantastic Four 200, right? So Fantastic Four 200, Incredible Hulk 200 are two off of my personal bucket list there, if you will. They're not, I'm not going to say they're grails and stuff, right? But issue 200 of Fantastic Four has eluded me. I've had it in my hands before, didn't get it. So I was very glad to find one. Love my Fantastic Four, especially back in the day. I may have already shown these and stuff, right? But at the Honey Pot for $1 a piece, I will grab Marvel Comics Weapon X all day long. I have multiple copies of these, especially when they're this great a shape. So yeah, I've got the last 2 chapters, I think, here. Marvel Comics presents 83-84, Barry Windsor Smith coming on here and blowing me away with his writing, along with his art. It was a journey for me to really come around to his art style in middle school and high school and stuff, right? Because it was so out there, yet it was also so interesting and fluid. Very nice. So let's check the comments here because we're on a roll. What we got here? I asked for comments on the She-Hulk show. Dave McKenzie has delivered. What do we got? The She-Hulk show is a lot of fun. Breaking the fourth wall included. Fantastic. I really don't want to take what I hear on YouTube and on social media because you have basically feel like you pick a side. If it's from Disney, it's evil. Not necessarily true. I think their Star Wars stuff has been bad, except for Rogue One, where I thought Rogue One was fantastic. So I refuse to believe that everything is just bad. I hate to say it, but I like the She-Hulk show. This is the Sumerian. Again, somebody else is delivering. This is why I love me around. It's this interaction and stuff. I hate to say it, but I like She-Hulk show. I hate to say it because it's really just Sex in the City with superheroes. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay, maybe I'll check this one out. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I saw that clip where they act like the worst thing in the world is to be a woman, and I hope that was just a scene taken out of context because I cannot stand that kind of stuff. All right, so Flex Metallo. Now this is weird. I've got a single issue somewhere in the stacks, right? I think I found this for like, we'll say $1.79 and odd. I remember it was odd. It was really odd, an odd price on eBay, right? Every now and then you got some of these sellers who they start out with 99 cents and $1 and maybe $5 on trades. I don't know how they get them or what they do, but I have 2 sellers that I follow. I kind of checked in and I thought this was going to be a hardback, but it's all right. It was so cheap that I'm not real worried about it. But Flex Metallo came out of the Doom Patrol. And if you watch the Doom Patrol show, I could not believe I saw Danny the Street and Flex Metallo, right? From that run. The miniseries came out back in the 96, I think, and disappeared real quick. Never really went into trade forever. because of a lawsuit. Oh, was it Armstrong? I can't believe I'm forgetting this, but it's a classic or ad was in comics for decades, right? And it was like a little comic strip of the kid going to the beach and getting set with a girl, and a big strong guy kicks sand in his face, and then he's in front of the mirror, very Peter Parker like, and he's like, "I'm going to be a man," and he orders the, I don't know, the famous weightlifter Armstrong, and he shows back up the beach and he bullies the guy. He's returned. That's a hell of a summer for you to be able to bulk up like about 50 pounds of pure muscle and show up the next week and beat them up. So anyway, they got sued because that played into Flex Metallo's origin. I'm not going to go into a Grant Morrison explanation here. You got to read it to really comprehend it. So for years, I was like, oh, I'll get around to reading it. And I always looked for it, never saw it in back issues until here recently. Found one issue and kind of fell off my radar. And then when I got this, I was like, oh my God, that was 1996 this came out. And all those decades have gone by. I'm like, I really need to read this. I'm getting older. So I get it. I get 3 or 4 pages in, and I would say this was very cool in 1996. But it's really odd that I got this, and it feels very dated. Usually I get through stuff like this from Grant Morrison stuff. I just devour it. And this one, I was just sort of like, okay, maybe it gets better. So no real review on this, but I know I put it on the shelf. And if I had not decided to do this live stream today, I forgot it was on the shelf upstairs for me to continue reading. So yeah, really surprised by my feelings on that, right? Back issue, the new comic that kind of stretched in there, but I'm really digging back issue. This is old news. This book's been around for this magazine from Tomorrow Publishing's been around forever. There we go. Been around forever, and every now and then they have a topic that I like. I get issues by what the topic is going to be, the theme of the book, right? And this one is all the totally 80s DC pre-crisis miniseries that came out. You have to remember that miniseries were not a thing until the very early 80s, if not the dawn of the 80s. Okay. So yeah, I got this to read through them, and I've already flipped through it, and it amazes me how many of these miniseries I have. Just fun if you were there. Probably people of a certain age. Maybe if you're really into comics, you young guys might like to delve into a little bit of history here. But it gives articles and reviews and things that were going on behind the scenes with these. We're talking the Green Arrow miniseries, World of Krypton miniseries, America versus Justice League in '85. All these odds and ends that came out. I don't remember seeing the Red Tornado miniseries in here, and that was one of Kurt Busiek's, if not his first comic book that he did. And, oh, there's a comic stuck to it. Okay. We'll put that to the side. And here we go. We're into some more back issues. These were all like $1, I think, a piece, unless I say different. Found a random issue of the Flex Metallo meta cover here, issue 3 or 4, due to the Dark Knight Returns. Kind of funny. I finally get it in trade, and then all of a sudden I find an issue, 3 more to go if I run across them. Sandman number 47. I've been finding, if you remember my videos where I was acting like a 7-year-old kid, I was so excited that I found all these Sandman issues and stuff. I looked at issues 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, all the way up to the Seeds into the Mist, and I grabbed some more and stuff. Well, number 47 is also a key because it's the first premonition, if you will. Don't want to give any. Sandman has gone from his black mopiness to like this white. His hair is white, his clothes are white, and things like that, right? So this is a little bit of a key, if you will, issue 47. Issue 4 is the one to get. What is going on with my internet? Here we go. So Teen Titans number 4. This is the Jeff Johns series that came out in the early 2000s. I hung in there for quite a while with it. Sold a whole bunch of them and been getting them back here and there. But issue 4, we had Impulse turn into Kid Flash proper. And then we turn around and issue 5 is his first cover appearance, kind of continued story. I remember number 4 was like a cameo or something like that. And I guess, the kids were growing up and talking about Flash Legacy and all this stuff. I hope the internet's working right. But anyway, but yeah, I'm picking these up. This is actually a little bit of nostalgia for me and stuff, right? Let me check this. I'm not getting any more comments either. So anyway, I kind of picked this up, maybe a minor key, you know, but he's much better as Impulse, in my opinion. Much better as Impulse, right? So now I'm getting into these X-Files books, right? And again, I have to point out the fact that comics over the last, I don't know, several years are kind of lacking to where I've reached a point where I've made the comments that today's comics have really started making the new universe look good from the late 80s. And then some of these so-so books from the 90s are, when I read them, I'm like, I'm getting a lot of joy out of them. Like, I'm much more forgiving of things in the past if they can actually write a story. You know what I mean? Like an action story. This is an X-Files story. So I picked up a book about X-Files. I'm not getting lectured to or anything like that or told bad things about my attitudes or whatever. Anyway, but this is an X-Files special that reprints the first 3 issues of the top series that came out, right? And I did a little research there, and they're saying that X-Files #1 from this top series is the first X-Files in comics, and this is what I'm talking about. It drives me nuts. The actual first appearance of X-Files in comic book form is in a TV guide that I have packed up. It's in a TV guide. And I do remember that I think it's a Star Trek Voyager cover, if you will. I remember it was yellow, and I think it had 2 of the characters from Star Trek Voyager on it. So yeah, so if everybody, you know, so if there's ever an X-Files resurgence again, it's happened before, which surprised me, and you're into the first appearances, look up that TV guide. You know, if I knew where to start unpacking, I would pull it out and show you the TV guide. So anyway, we got some X-Files here. Yeah, I've read probably about 3 or 4 of these. I have in this stack is the one mixed. There's some previous copies I had mixed up. I kind of forgot. I put them all together so I sit down and read them. And if you like X-Files, X-Files Light, if you will, they don't get into depth and stuff as they do. Maybe 1 or 2 two-parters that I ran across so far. You know, get you the tops. I recommend it. I know other companies have really took off and done some stuff with X-Files since then. I think IDW is the main one. They actually crossed over X-Files with The Crow, and I don't know. I'm curious. I don't want to buy it. I like to borrow somebody's copies. All right. And these get better, folks. I've got some better stuff coming up. But this, for me, was to finally complete the Forgotten Realms, Rag Morales' first series, if you will, written by Jeff Grubb, who actually worked at TSR. But, yeah, I was a Dungeons & Dragons guy. And I've recently found my Dungeon Master, my Dungeon Master from that era, on Facebook. I actually was told that something horrible had happened to him in a car wreck in '91. Not true. He's lived 60 minutes away. And I had to remind him who I was. That kind of hurt. I wasn't surprised. I was a little kid amongst all the people playing D&D. But anyway, I never really completed Forgotten Realms. TSR signed some kind of deal with DC, and they did Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Forgotten Realms. Eventually got around to Spelljammer. But these were just fun. And I think my problem is one of the reasons I got out of D&D and probably didn't really track these books down forever is I like its tone. D&D kind of turns, in my mind, I'm thinking Conan, Hyborian Age, you know what I mean? And Knights, Excalibur, and of course J.R. Tolkien and stuff like that. And it ends up being more like Monty Python and the Holy Grail if you play too long. Luckily, my guys, we were able to have a laugh, but the tone of it was the same. But yeah, as a tone, I really like things to be a bit more serious, if you will. So yeah, just a personal preference. I'll get in there. Don't be difficult. All right. And like I said, the good stuff's coming up. What we got here? The Sumerian is hanging in there with me, guys. Topps Comics. I picked up the Bram Stoker's Dracula. Got it. I think it's the Mike Mignola in Jurassic Park books back in the day. I think Walt Simonson did some covers for that. I never got the X-Files books, though. I flipped through them back in the day and was not impressed. Now, they're just X-Files, solid X-Files stories. We're not talking Shakespeare here. We're not talking like Alan Moore brand writing, but they're just faithful to the TV show. Okay, I have some of those Forgotten Realm books. I personally enjoy them, right? This was like that came out the last year I was playing D&D, and I've been playing probably for 5 or 6 years in the same campaign with 90% of the same people. After everybody, graduated or moved on and stuff like that, I'm stuck there. I was the youngest, you know what I mean? I was like 13 and these guys were like 16 and 17, you know what I mean? Up to 30. There's a bunch of us and stuff, right? They turned around and I tried playing with several other campaigns around town, if you will, and it just was not the same. So I kind of got out. I got brought back in with the White Wolf games around 93 or 94. Um, Dragonlance for me, they had a Dragonlance book. Thank you, the Sumerian. Yes, Spelljammer, AD&D proper, Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms. Okay, awesome. And I love Monty Python. Don't get me wrong, man. So 'tis but a scratch. Yes, yes, yes. And I need a shrubbery. I could start quoting this all day with people going back and forth. It's happened before. One of the books I have fallen in love with, and I will have all 70 issues, a little at a time as I read them, but Sandman Mystery Theater from the 90s at Vertigo. If you guys have been watching me over the last couple months, if you this will not surprise you. Okay, so I'm going to spare you here stuff, right? But we are. I think I got these for $1 a piece. One or two of them have been $1.80 on sale on mycomics.com. But I have picked these up, and I'm finding them in the wildest places and stuff, right? In really good shape, right? But if you like those old pulp stories of the spider and the shadow and things that take place in the 70s, and you like that Guy Davis art, and you like Matt Wagner, it's pretty good. And they do have a little bit of every now and then there seems to be this left-leaning take on characters and how things were back then. I don't want to use any of the buzzwords and stuff right now, but every now and then they have a little bit of commentary, but it's balanced. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's balanced. There's room for it. This character, is going to say something, or there's a care, or we're just going to stop here for a minute to acknowledge that this is the 30s and we have to explain it to people how attitudes were back then on a few things, if they're accurate. But there are issues where I swear I can feel I can feel the smog of the city. I can smell the unleaded gasoline. I can hear the car horns. Every now and then they do a really good job of, as you read on in this, you can get immersed into this world, and they've just done a fantastic job with Sandman, Wesley Dodds, the character, and some of the subplots going on, and the daughter being the chief of police's daughter and things like that, and tied into my Starman a little bit. There's a Starman crossover there, so we got some of those. Okay, great. Now we're going to see some good stuff, right? This is what I have picked up this morning, okay? I have not rebagged these, reboarded these. Oh, here we go. Gore Vidal is here before I move on, but there's some good stuff in here, right? This is where I'm going to laugh at some speculation, if you will, right? Gore Vidal, good morning, sir. Good to see you. Sandman Mystery Theater was a pleasant surprise for me as well when I discovered them. Yeah, I kicked myself for not picking them up. There's a Paulo Costa was on when I was doing a live stream talking about it. I went blank on this one shot, and it's up here on a shelf. Where they crossed over Sandman, which I was heavily into, with my Starman at this time, everything like that. It was Sandman Mystery. Oh my goodness, I just went blank. There's a one shot. Go figure. Sandman Midnight Theater, and it crossed over with the Sandman and the Golden Age Sandman with this series. And I picked up one or two issues and didn't stick with it, and I could kick myself. So I sampled it back in the day. That's probably a better way to do it. Dodd is the antithesis of Hunter Rose Grendel. I never thought about that. Oh no, you're going to take me down a wormhole, at least philosophically, because I'm in the middle of reading the Hunter Rose Grendel omnibus that came in, I think, a month or two ago. Oh wow. Oh geez. Okay, I've got to stay on track. Ooh. Oh man, that's getting to heavy comic book theory, if you will. Anyway, I picked these up this morning. For you guys that are popping in, I was actually on my way to do some hiking at a state park. I can't remember if it's an hour and a half or 2 hours here. and I started seeing some thunderclouds. I got an update on the weather that was different than the other day when I checked, and decided to stop at a honeypot I knew about and canceled it, and came back, and I did the right thing because I think it's storming right now. So anyway, unexpected thunderstorms. I will hike in the rain because I'm can be careful, but I will not hike in high winds and thunder boomers, and it's just common sense. I don't have to explain that, right? If it's poncho weather, I'm down, But anyway, I found this for $1. I love this. I can't believe I got some Charlton comics, man, even though there were some in the stacks when I was a kid, fighting armies, surfing wheels, things like that. But yeah, the stories behind Charlton Comics as a company are a lot more interesting than a lot of the comics they put out. Sharing the pressing their comics on a press that's used to make cereal boxes, the mafia ties and all this stuff. But how can you pass up things like this, as good a shape as this can be? Uh, a Blondie. I love Dagwood and Blondie and stuff, right? Got me a Sienkiewicz New Mutants. I'm really backing up and getting a lot of the Sienkiewicz New Mutants art. A book I had, Barry Windsor Smith art. I'm sort of rebuilding the New Mutants slowly and unintentionally. I always check my list and see, well, I don't have that one. Issue 51. It's a great era. I love reference material, right? So, of course, I got the official handbook of the Marvel Universe for Age of Apocalypse. This will go in the box if it'll fit, of all my official handbooks of the Marvel Universe from the 80s, both volumes. My Who's Who's of Star Trek, official handbook of the of the Hyborian Universe, Hyborian Age of Conan. My Star Trek Who's Who, my Who's Who, and all the updates that came out from DC, and now this gets to go in there. Apparently, they got more thematic when they brought it back, probably in the 2000s, if I had to guess. Trying to complete this Orion run that Walt Simonson did, that he came on there. I was missing more issues than I thought, and this cracks me up because this actually looks like some of the art I did in the 80s, sitting in my high school classrooms and stuff. Drawing it. I had a character that I made called Maze, and he wore the goggles. They looked a little bit more like ski goggles. But yeah, I saw this and I laughed. I'm like, that's Maze, with their glasses. So, I had Maze and I had Diesel way before there was a wrestler named Diesel, right? Exiles number 51, nothing to see here, just finishing up the run. And there'll be some more Doom Patrol that I bought off this guy, but I got the first appearance of Flex Mentallo. I'm a little confused on issue 35 and 36. I had the entire run of the Doom Patrol that came out in the 80s, from issue 1, that Secret Origins annual that John Byrne worked on with Paul Cooperberg, all the way up until the very end of Grant Morrison's run, and then stuff here. This is fantastic reading. Gets into Dadaism and kind of. It's a book that had its own identity, and I think it still holds up. And again, Flex Mentallo there, that Bosley cover. Bought this. I said, why not? It was $2. But I really do feel like John Romita Jr. Is a very divisive artist. That's a good way to put it with people, right? But anyway, in the 90s, there was this, or maybe in the early 2000s also. But Marvel and DC had realized there was money to be made in crossing over their characters and stuff like that. And one of the things they came up with, of course, they had who was it? New Gods and Galactus, whatever that was, and then which by John Byrne, which I thought was fantastic. And then they came up with these one shots. They had Batman and Daredevil and Spider-Man and Batman, and you got a lot of one shots and stuff. And the one I didn't pick up was the Punisher and Batman. And it was John Romita Jr. came on there, and I saw the inside of it. I saw pages of it over the years and stuff and everything, and I thought John Romita Jr. would have made an excellent Batman artist. So I thought DC really missed the boat when they stuck him right on the Superman right off the bat when he came to DC for a while. But anyway, Batman and the Punisher, there's no fight there. Batman would take down the Punisher with no problem. Actually, in the JLA Avengers crossover that Kurt Busiek did with George Perez back in the day, Batman told everybody in the Justice League just go around the Marvel world. They ended up on the Marvel Earth and just do recon. We just want to know where we're at and stuff. And of course, he broke the rule when he saw the Punisher with his big gun in a warehouse taking down people, and he takes out the Punisher off panel. That's how easy it is. There was no question about it. So there you go. What we got here? This is what I'm saying here. His artwork used to look good, but now it's dog wank. I'm going to go ahead and tell you a theory. And I'm a John Romita Jr. guy, right? I think he's done some excellent work, but I will also turn around and tell you when he's done crap. You know what I mean? Like, I don't blindly praise the guy. You know what I mean? I'm realistic about it. I feel like I'm very objective, right? But I have a theory that a lot of his artwork has really gone downhill, if you will, because his dad is no longer the guy looking over all the art at Marvel and stuff and fixing his stuff. I've seen interviews and read interviews where John Romita has admitted that his dad snuck in there and fixed some of his work. So he goes to DC and it's all him. And I saw some of that artwork and I was like, oh my, it's kind of hard to defend a guy with some of the stuff I saw coming out of his DC stuff. So, maybe Marvel's his home, I don't know. I picked this up because this is my era of Avengers. I'm not saying it's the best era. I'm not saying I like it because this is the best era, but I read my stepdad's and uncle's comics of Avengers from the 60s and the 70s and stuff. John Buscema and Tom Palmer were doing some art in those days and stuff, right? But, the timing was just right. Oh, wait, let me get this comment out there. Yeah, his artwork on Superman put me off reading it. Yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying there. Yeah, I think I just said what I had to say. But anyway, this era, the Roger Stern, John Buscema, Tom Palmer era, and let's take a moment to acknowledge the passing of Tom Palmer. I met him a couple of years ago at Baltimore Con. That was definitely maybe the second or third time I was ever really starstruck by somebody. I was a huge Tom Palmer fan. And for many reasons and stuff, right? But my Avengers and my collecting it off the rack in the stands was that Roger Stern, Tom Palmer, John Buscema era. And it led up to some great stuff. That Masters of Evil big battle where they invaded the Avengers mansion and stuff just blew me away as a kid. I have a video probably from like 2011 or 12 where I do the top 10 comic book battles, I think, and it's right up there. Like I've always remembered it and stuff, right? Well, this was an issue that was a little bit of a prequel to it and stuff, if you will, of what was coming. And for some reason, I never really got this issue, and I was like, well, it's there, even though it's $2. And here we go, guys. All right, for what's showing here is 9 of you that have hung in there, and I think it's well worth the wait because we're about halfway through with what I'm showing. And this is what I found this morning. Remember, I found these books this morning, so I need to keep them separate. I haven't cataloged them yet. I need to rebag and board them. But this I'm very fortunate in my travels sometimes, and I do laugh about the speculation stuff and how certain books will go off the charts just because of the buzz, and that's what it is. I do believe that we'll say 95% of it is certain books. It's the buzz that is brought upon by certain places across YouTube and online a little bit, and then you'll never hear from them again. But every now and then you have an anomaly where I just keep my mouth shut because I don't know. Sometimes it's organic and I didn't watch it grow. You know what I mean? Some people will say, if a tree makes a sound if a tree falls in the woods and there's nobody there to hear, does it make a sound? Well, yeah, but I'm sure there's a deeper meaning to what they're trying to get. So when a comic book organically becomes worth a lot of money, if a tree grows on its own, does it get the leaves? There's nobody's there to enjoy and watch it. Yeah, I'm trying to be funny, it ain't happening. But anyway, I about fell down because when I got there at this honey pot, this guy was bringing in more books to sell. And he was sitting there like, give me 20 minutes and stuff. And as he would come in with these stacks, he didn't have them in boxes. I said, well, I'll tell you what, let me look at the stack and then I'll box them for you. So as I was going through them, I about fell down because probably the third book I found was Batman 423 that has really taken off over the years because of the Todd McFarlane cover. Okay. Yeah, so, and look at that price. $2. So I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I got it. And it looks like it's got a little spine tick there. Uh, Newsstand edition. So those are the spine ticks it gets from being on the rack for so long. I about fell down because I had this back in the day, and this was one of the books that was stolen off me. Definitely stolen off me, you know. So there you go, 1988 Todd McFarlane Batman. I keep freezing up. Hopefully, it's not messing up the stream on your end. But anyway, yeah, $2. I gotta get this bag and boarded quickly. I feel weird having it out of a bag and board. And then I was buying Spider-Man regularly anyway before McFarlane came on. Craven Hunt. I was getting it with Ron Friends and Tom DeFalco around the 260s and on up, and continued to get Spider-Man monthly. So I was already there before Spider-Man. And thanks to divorce in the 2000s, I ended up selling my keys of my couple of my, 300, 301. I ended up selling them. But I tell you what, I have 3 copies of 298 and 299, the first McFarlane issues, and those finally are appreciated now, But anyway, I found these, and I'm not saying these are upgrades, but yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 303, Dave Michelny, and Todd McFarlane 304. Todd McFarlane was blossoming big time. He'd already been at DC doing Infinity Incorporated, and I think he did an indie book or two, Coyote or something like that before that. It really blows my mind how long McFarlane's been around, and he still was able to pump me up enough to get me to buy some Spawn books, I think last summer or something. So kudos to him. 305 and 306. This was the 50th anniversary of Superman, an homage cover, if you will. And I think this is the issue where Peter Parker is talking to Mary Jane about the first appearance of Supergirl being a thing when he was a kid with the comics. And it has a sweet little ending where she's able to find that issue because she's a model. It makes a lot of money at this time in the era, in the era of this comic and stuff like that. So there's a DC comic front and center of the first appearance of Supergirl in a Marvel comic. You know what I mean? That's when people just did things because they loved comics. You know what I mean? You can feel that the people writing and working on these comics liked comics in some way, shape, or form. I don't know the intensity or the frequency they kept that love, but that was a cool thing for Marvel to do back in the day. All right. Let's check the comments because we're a little bit over halfway through. It's already 1:30, man. We've been doing this for a while. I got the Peter Parker series from 98. Gotcha. All right. So a few little things here. We'll take a quick break from the comics, then get back to them. A lot of good stuff. I should have done smaller videos. I might get back to that now I'm doing all the traveling. I've been telling you that I'm getting into the Wald Newton books, Philip Jose Farmer. Now, Philip Jose Farmer is definitely one of my favorite authors. And I have read his World of Tears series, a little bit of Riverworld. I've really gotten to a sci-fi stuff. Oh man, I'm winding down here, man. Maybe we'll get through this. But anyway, I've been getting on eBay and finding these cheap copies of his other works that tie into the Wald Newton series and the Nine and stuff like that for practically nothing. But basically, these are thinly disguised versions of Tarzan and Doc Savage and things like that. Lord Tiger. This is going to be a beast to read. These other ones are manageable. I thought I had more than that. I think I left 1 or 2 upstairs, but you get the point. I had 3 new books from that place. And I left them upstairs. But anyway, it's like, getting into these World Newton books. I don't know if I showed this, but I had Gladiator, Philip Wiley's Gladiator, Hugo Danner. This is a book that originally came out during the 20s, and it had a huge influence on Superman and I think comics in general. But anyway, I did a video back in like 2013 or 14 on my potato cam and no microphone, where I was talking about the connection. I think the video is called From Gladiator to Superman. And the Philip Wiley Foundation found the video a year or 2 after I'd done it and thanked me for doing it. I didn't know there was a estate, if you will. The estate of Philip Wiley was still going there. Got some Forgotten Realms books. Dritz du Erden or whatever. Apparently, the Drow elves that were so mysterious during my time playing D&D had come front and center right when I quit, and all these books came out, and in the campaigns you knew more about the Drow elves, or the Drew elves, however you want to say it. Philip Jose Tales of Riverworld. Like I said, I'm expanding. I've read the same stuff by Philip Jose Farmer quite a bit over the years. The Fabulous Riverboat, and this is what I'm talking about, little one shots like this. Unreasonable Masks and stuff like that. I read that in high school, and it's going to be good to do it. So a lot of my reading is going to be getting back to pulp novels for a little bit. I want to be doing what I want to do. When you do YouTube for a while, you get into the trap, and you can't get in the trap where you want to hurry up and get stuff, hurry up and read it. You don't enjoy it as well because you want to be the first to talk about it on YouTube, or hit while the iron is hot sometimes. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I got caught in that for a little bit, which is why you don't get a lot of review videos from me and stuff, because I'm got a lot of interest going on and stuff, right? Some other stuff I got is the best of CM Kornbluth sci-fi. I like these little collections of short stories, and the first Riverworld book. I've listened to it on audiobook, To Your Scattered Bodies Go. I'm not going to go get into what Riverworld is about, but it's worth doing a little research to see if you're interested. I will tell you what, I'll give you a basic premise. Everybody who has ever been alive, whether they have died or not, anything like that, but anybody that has ever been alive, all wake up going on the sides of a river, and everybody's alive. Every famous person you knew, and you don't know why you're there, and you're like in the best shape of your life in your youth when you're there. You know what I mean? So it goes from there. So Samuel Clemens there for a little bit is the main, your eyes to this world there for a little bit and stuff, right? Just leave it at that. Found this morning, $3.95, Arcade Fever. And you talk about buying back your childhood. I saw we had Pong in the house. We had Atari 2600 in the house. I had gas stations I could walk to and convenience stores, and then we had arcades and shot pool. Started shooting pool in 1983, and playing all these video games. You had TV shows of competitions. You had people who were world famous that they still kind of talk about. Now they're all like in scandal, who are winning world trades and stuff like that. Indiana Jones script book, the Temple of Doom script book, with pictures from it. I will grab this stuff all day long. Talking about the movies and designs and the script and stuff, right? Oh, and here's the missing book, Lord of the Trees by Philip Jose Farmer. See, some of these books are pretty thin. I can probably knock these out less than a week with the time I have. Okay, put these to the side. Okay. I have no idea if I've shown this before, but I was very happy when I got this at RobCon, and it's a little bit of an update. This is the DC Jonah Hex Spectacular, where it's the death of Jonah Hex. And several of my friends, Charlton66, Steve, and a few other people kind of reached out to me, some on Instagram, some in private message, and especially the man that I bought this book off of wanted to know. They wanted to hear from me. They wanted to know what I thought of the story, right? And it's solid. It was a fantastic story leading up to Jonah Hex's death and a little bit beyond there, right? This is the kind of thing that I read that gives me a satisfying comic book experience. So if you get a chance to read The Death of Jonah Hex, you're not going to get a lot of flash, but you're going to get some on-track storytelling with just enough that's unpredictable. Even with you knowing that he's going to be dying, you're still on the journey there a little bit. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now we get to put that up. All right, John C is here. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Salvatore is great. This is the guy that wrote the Forgotten Realms book that I showed. All his Icewind Dale stuff is magic. Never could get into Ed Greenwood stuff, though. Yeah, we're getting into a little bit of an area I haven't really explored. I know these names a little bit. I've read very few. I think I've read some Dragonlance books and a few Forgotten Realms books and stuff. I've got a hardback over here of a Drit's Tale. If I could see it. time something. It's covered up. I've got a stack of some stuff in front of it. But anyway, yeah, I've dabbled in it, but I am not the expert. It's kind of cool to come into something new. We got here. You shown that Jonah Hex before you kidded as you spoiled the ending telling us he died. Oh no, 40-some-year-old book. I guess I was deserving of the kidding there. Yep. And again, yes. Spoiled it all day long. Great. All right. Great to see Graphic Man here. Good to see John C here. Good to see everybody that's popped in here. And I will buy these. Sometimes I'll catch myself buying things all day long that I already have and stuff, right? But I absolutely love. Oh, sorry. I forgot I had two cameras going. I absolutely love these Lone Wolf and Cub tales that came from First Comics that brought them over here to America. This is the book that highly influenced Frank Miller. And I think it is Showtime right now, but they've got like 4 or 5 early 70s samurai-ish, Ronin-ish Lone Wolf and Cub movies that I have discovered. I've seen 1 or 2 over the years, and I remember the scenes that were like absolute bloodbath and stuff, right? But I never saw the first one. So I have on my spare time at night have like been working my way through the first movie, and I've got 3 or 4 of waiting. They're in my list. I'm positive it's HBO. Thing is you just never know. You'll get a warning, but you never know how long they're going to recycle the movies and they'll be gone. So number 12, I'm going to complete this run. All right. They didn't make it to 50. And maybe there's just so many stories to reprint. I don't know, stuff like that. But those are just fun books. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but got some upgrades on my Doom Patrol books. When they're $1 with these fantastic Simon Bisley covers, I will buy them up. And this is probably my 4th copy of this. There's a handful of covers that I absolutely love, even if I did not like the series. But this picture actually took off when I posted it on Instagram. I think it was #Spider, and I don't know, there's a theme going with comic book covers where you post one every day or something. But this is one of my favorite covers by Simon Bisley from the Doom Patrol. I've got about 4 of these. This may make my 5th one. Eventually, I'm going to have to find a service that can make posters of comic book covers. I know they're out there. One of my friends had a Saga #1 hanging in her bedroom and things like that. So I know they're out there. But yeah, this is absolutely one of my favorite comic book covers ever. I can't believe I didn't put it in my top 10 list that I did a couple of, probably a decade ago at this point. Who knows? But anyway, and then I picked up an upgrade of the Sandman Gallery of Dreams with an introduction by Neil Gaiman. This is just a bunch of artists that come in and you get a page of each artist doing an interpretation of Sandman and maybe some of his endless brethren, if you will, right? I have it, but this is an upgrade. So now I have a reader copy. And I got one I can put up. Oh, this is great. Oh, Gratu's here. What's up, man? Hello, Gratu. Gore, that's a great Jonah Hex issue. It demystifies the Western mythology and American storytelling about the period. Yes. And yeah, it takes place in the early 1900s where cars are starting to appear, and it touches on where we're going from the Wild West to kind of a modernization. The Industrial Revolution has happened. Yeah, absolutely. And how the West has started going to go into being like a carny thing. Let's put it that way, Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a really good chunk of history tied in there without when you're getting a history lesson. It's fantastic. It's actually good to read Jonah Hex with Lone Wolf and Cub. I find myself doing that when I'm read one and get inspired to read the other. I have not read a lot of the Jonah Hex Bronze Age stuff. A handful, okay? But I definitely have read all of the Tim Truman. Oh my God, who wrote those with him? The Tim Truman. I got it back here behind me. Anyway, the stuff where they took it to Vertigo and gave it a horror theme. Came out with a couple of miniseries with Tim Truman and stuff. Joe Linsdale. Oh, I'm not going to do it. We got stuff to go through, man. We're over halfway now. Ross is here. Has anyone seen the Sarah Jane Adventures TV show? I think that's on Amazon Prime right now, or something like that. Okay, so anyway, And then again, now we're a few more things to show here. I got one more book that is going to be fantastic to show. I'm really excited about here in a minute. But we'll get through these. There we go. Cosmic Odyssey, right? When this came out, this actually was on newsstand. It was a prestige format sort of a concept here. And this is before Mike Mignola was a star, so it was a bit jarring to see this. We were also coming out of the era of Crisis and Legends, and we were starting to see more company crossovers and stuff. So when I saw the first issue, man, I was automatically just hated it. I'm like, it's a cash grab. Even at a young age like that, I was like, oh, come on, and all this stuff, right? Well, I eventually got around to reading it because it's got Kirby characters in it, Darkseid and the Demon, and Bug and Batman in it. And I eventually, over time, ended up loving this, okay? I really enjoyed the journey with Cosmic Odyssey not being one of those things that's exploited or thrown out there and stuff. It did have ramifications on John Stewart, the Green Lantern. And to me, this is where he actually became a character, with something that happens in the book that is like horrible. It led to him having his own series called Mosaic and stuff eventually and stuff, right? And it's Jim Starlin in it, so it's got some of those morbid themes in it and stuff, right? Well, I've already got 1 through 4 of it. I don't even know if I got it on paper. I don't even know if I have it in trade, but I always pick these up, and I've already set to a friend so they can enjoy it and stuff, right? But I always pick these up when they're cheap. $1 or $2 and stuff, right? It's a 4-issue miniseries. Mike Mignola, Jim Starlin, right on the cusp of Mignola becoming a superstar, if you will. This good stuff right there, man. Really enjoyed it. Transformers, like I said, I'm picking these up left and right. A stream probably about a month ago or something, I found a key Transformer book where it was the Dinobots, which I didn't know was a key, but I found it for real. I ended up going through it. Ron Wilson is always a nostalgic feel for me. I met Ron Wilson at a Baltimore Con, got him to sign What If Thor met Conan or something. I will buy this all day long as well. Keith Giffen, Simon Bisley, the Lobo Military Christmas Special. This goes side by side with my Ambush Stocking Stuffer Special. I read these every Christmas. Okay. This is a great era. This is probably the only era where I'm really into Lobo. Never been a super huge fan of Lobo, but yeah, this will do it. The miniseries that came out before this, the first Lobo miniseries, will do it. And what they did with him in the Legion book, Legion 89, Legion 90, Legion 91, that series. Okay. They did some fun stuff with them. DC 52 did some fun stuff with them, but I was never crazy. You know, I think if you really look back on it, if you've been collecting comics in the late 80s and the 90s or since then, but there was a rise in popularity because, you know, Marvel had Cable and DC had Lobo, and Lobo had a bit of a head start. But when Simon Bisley, man, came out with that miniseries that Keith Giffen wrote and he did his art, debuted here in America, Lobo took off. There was Lobo Mania, even though if you were in comic book shops and talking to the character stuff, a lot of the talk you had at the time was Lobo and Cable. And strangely enough, with my memory, as I'm sitting here talking to you, it kind of got weird there for a minute because it went Lobo, Cable, a little bit of Hellboy at one point. You know, we're going further into the 90s now. And then all of a sudden, Bone. Yeah, a little Bone, the cartoon character, popped up. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, that's why I love this hobby and stuff, man. So much variety to end up talking about, you know. Oh, man. Oh, here we go. Recently purchased a complete set of X-Men: The Hidden Years and really enjoying it. Yes, I finished up. I was missing 1 or 2 issues just a couple years ago. Finally got the whole thing. I really enjoy that series. Tom Palmer doing the inks. Tom Palmer and John Byrne also worked together on Starbrand for a little bit. I really thought Tom Palmer was a good compliment. He brought some weight to John Byrne's style that was changing at the time. It's good stuff. Just bought some Doom Patrol 19 through 30 in a bundle at a show for $10. You got to steal, sir. You got to steal. If that's the first, I think number 19 is the first part of Crawling Through a Wreckage, so that is a real key. Issue 29 and 30 has Simon Bosley covers with the Superman and I think Animal Man on the cover of one of those. The picture that ate Paris, I think that's what it is, or something like that. The portrait that ate Paris. Anyway, that's a good time right there. That's to my opinion, that's a good time. I really hope you enjoy the books. But again, it's Grant Morrison. You got to know what you're getting into with Grant Morrison. He was on it here in America. He kind of debuted on Animal Man. I felt like it was just like this guy's going to be an Alan Moore wannabe. That's why they brought him over, or something like that. I couldn't have been more wrong, as time has shown. But Doom Patrol was going on at the time, and Animal Man popped up, and everybody had wanted Animal Man and Doom Patrol to cross over at this point in time. So Animal Man was part of Justice League Europe at the time. So there is a panel there that I think is funny. What's wild about issue 29, if I'm remembering right, is that the Doom Patrol were supposed to be freaks. They were supposed to be different and uncomfortable, make people feel uncomfortable and stuff like that. Sideshow acts, if you will, carny folk, or however you want to do it. And Grant Morrison had finally done things with Rebus and some of the characters in there that when they run up to meet the Justice League, they look like the freaks they're supposed to be. There's a little moment there where you're like, oh God, they are weird. Like you can feel how off-putting they finally really are. And that's what Grant Morrison did. He took that basic concept that the Doom Patrol was supposed to be freaks, and he turned it up. He got it up to 9 or 10. You know what I mean? He did it. When they run, I mean, he put the Justice League in there just so that when you see proper superheroes beside of the Doom Patrol now, it was like, a contradiction that worked. It was fantastic. I love the series, so I may be hyping it up for you. My favorite issue is, I think, issue 33. I'll talk about that later. Anyway, Jim Starlin doesn't disappoint. I enjoyed Cosmic Odyssey as well. Yeah, it won me over through story. You know what I mean? Like, Ross Sanders spawned by. Yeah. Tim, you convinced me in one of your earliest videos to take a look at the Books of Magic series. I've read Gaiman's mini, but paid no attention to the series. Glad you encouraged me to get them. I enjoyed it. And it sounds like you did as well. So I hope you did enjoy it. I have gone around. It's wild when I read it when it came out versus a little rereading I did a month ago where I kind of skimmed through it more than a deep read. That issue number 3 by Charles Vess is now turned into my favorite issue. What weird, right? I love the last issue. I love the whole series, but there was something about the last issue that really got me. And now that I'm older and I was reading it, man, issue 3 in the fairy realm of all things, I don't know. Maybe it was Vess's art. I don't know. So, yeah. Okay, so moving on here. Names of Magic, number 1. Speaking of Books of Magic and stuff, this is the Further Adventures of Timothy Hunter. This was, I think, a 5-issue miniseries. I think I need 2 issues now so I can sit down and read it. They're in the 2000s. Yes, this is Teen Titans. Yes, I hold that this was sort of lame. I totally get the enthusiasm. Maybe it was a return to trying to get younger readers back on the Teen Titans after a decade of greatness, if you will. And coming in there, this is also around the time that when I talked to Marvel Wolfman back in like 2013 or 14 at Heroes Con, right out of his mouth, he said, I'd been on the Titans for too long. I really should have left that book longer. But anyway, it was a fun time, but they had a crossover called Total Chaos going through the Marvel Wolfman books. Teen Titans, they're probably the new Titans at the time, who knows. And then Deathstroke, and then this was the debut of the Teen Titans, the heroes from the future, is what they were. They'd come back from the past, and you kind of got the idea these were the Titans from the future. But anyway, why did I get this? I've had these, I've gotten rid of them. Well, I want the entire crossover to put in my Titans box. So this was bought for $1. I think this came out with 5 covers because this was supposed to be an event. And as you can see, it's from 1992. This was supposed to be an event to bring in the Teen Titans, a spinoff of the Titans books and stuff like that. And this was at the very pinnacle, the beginning of when Image was hitting. And then just a few years later, we'd have 800 books a month, potentially to be on the stands. If somebody bought every book and put them for sale, it would have been 800 books. So, this horrible timing. So horrible timing for the Teen Titans and DC at large. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, I think I've gone through those. I'm kind of cracking up. This is my second copy of this. I spent several off the side of my eye. You know what I'm saying? In my peripheral vision, I always kind of kept an eye out for this because this is not only an iconic cover for the Punisher, but I also think that it's one of those iconic covers for the 80s. When I look at this, seeing it in advertisements and other comics and stuff, and would see it, the blacks, the blue hue, the silver on here and stuff like that. This takes me back to the 80s. Okay, very few covers that do that for me, right? But this is my second copy of this, and I could not turn this down for $5. But this is Punisher by Alan Grant, Mike Zeck, and John Beatty. Return to Big Nothing, a hardback graphic novel from the 80s and stuff, right? And this cover is, I think you can still get this cover as a poster. And when I bought this, the person I bought it off of let me know that there is a Japanese toy company, action figure company or something. He told me the name of it, but they actually made a figure based on this Mike Zeck drawing. Okay, I don't know if it was a statue. I don't know if it had articulation, but yes, to me, this is just iconic. The story, I'm really glad that the person I bought this off of acknowledged that the story is not so much. I'll go ahead and tell you. This is one of those things where it's a fantastic, and this is an upgrade from the one that I had. The one I have is not in bad shape, but this one has definitely been taken care of better and stuff, right? So yeah, I don't even know if I want to crack this thing open, but story not so much, but iconic cover. When I see this, I am back. I can smell the air of that year. You know what I mean? Like the nostalgia is strong. Yeah, just love that. If you really sit down and look at the coloring that they put into this cover, yeah, and I'm a Mike Zeck fan big time. Great. Okay, so here's another big find. I should save this to last, right? But this book, if you have me on Facebook, I didn't put it on Instagram. For some reason, Instagram would not read the picture off of my phone. I don't know what happened. It's definitely an app problem, I'm assuming, right? But this book, I had it in my hands when it came out, but it was $50, right? And you know me, I'm a cheap bastard. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get it on retail. I'll get it when they put it at Barnes and Nobles, where you walk in and they have these books so with the $10 sticker and stuff, things get over with and stuff. Well, au contraire, that never happened. I never, at least for me, my path never crossed over. And I always kept and I loved the Batman the Animated Series, right? But this book in particular delves into the behind the scenes, and it has all the title cards for the Batman the Animated Series, right? That was one of the great things about the Batman Animated Series, is that they sort of brought back the title card that gave you the title of the story with a little piece of art, right? Well, this book went out of print, and bam, it went up. This book sells, and I looked it up, sells for $158. That was the cheapest I found. To $500, and I don't like saying that 500 because that was an eBay price. So we're going to bring it on down to where I found it for, I think, $299. We're going to say 300. 100. Just let me break it down. $150 to $300 is what this book sells for, right? And on my Facebook, I put a picture of it, and I took a screenshot of the first 3 or 4 books that I found for sale of this, right? So after all that hype and stuff, right, I have Batman. Come on. There we go. Batman, the Animated Series, behind the scenes, all the trivia, all the artwork and stuff. Paul Dini, Chip Kidd, the Bruce Timm, Batman, the Animated Series book. Everything you wanted to know but was afraid to ask is basically what it is. It's got fold-out pages. It's got properties that came out of this. They give you the, the storyboarded, great artwork. They explain a lot of things, like how they started on black paper to make the show extra dark and drew the backgrounds on it. Even has a picture of Space Ghost so you can compare it. Great book. I devoured it. I didn't read every word, but when I started taking pictures for Facebook, I ended up spending about an hour just savoring it, going through it and looking at it and stuff, right? This is the kind of stuff that makes me happy every now and then. What did I buy it for? $10. $150 to $200 out of print book, $10. Very happy, very lucky. Yeah. Oh, Sumerian talking about the Teen Titans, the Team Titans. I picked up the Terra cover to Teen Titans. That's the one I picked as well because it was Kevin McGuire, and I was huge into the Justice League. Got it for speculation reasons. What can I say? I was a dumb kid. We were just in uncharted territory, Sumerian. That's all it is. Okay. And then I get things like this that I like, right? I got a few more comics here to watch show and stuff, right? But I found this. I have a Buck Rogers one. It looks like by the same company, but this is the Battlestar Galactica pop-up book. Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. The Battlestar Galactica storybook, right? I watched the debut episode, the pilot episode, if you will, the mini movie or whatever it was, Battlestar Galactica back in the day. And even then, I was a little bit of a snob because I'm like, they're trying to be Star Wars. Flash forward 40 some years, and we get to The Last Jedi, and they ripped off Rian Johnson used I don't know if he did it on purpose. Maybe it's an amazing coincidence. Let me get my disclaimer in here, in my opinion. But we ended up getting the knockoff of Star Wars. Okay. Becomes a TV show with the beginning of the pilot is like a movie. And they turn around, they use the same plot from the Battlestar Galactica for The Last Jedi. Right down. I mean, I just was like, what are they doing? So The Last Jedi is not a Star Wars movie. It's a Battlestar Galactica 1979, whatever it is, movie, an adaptation of the TV shows, how I look at it now. Cracked me up. But I had the toys, man. I had a Cylon. I had the purple dudes that I can't think of their names right now. But yeah, in my mix of action figures and stuff, the Cylon and the purple dude with the purple cloak, purple afro, purple cloak, everything like that. They were some of my favorites. I think he had 4 arms. And then I had the green guy, the swamp looking dude who had the 4 arms. I know there are people out there who are fans of the TV show are screaming at me either now or in the future when they watch this. They're telling me the proper names of all those characters. But I also had them mixed up with my Clash of the Titans toy. And I think I had like my action figures, and I think I had a little Lone Ranger in there somewhere. This is right on the cusp of Masters of the Universe and He-Man and G.I. Joe coming. You know what I mean? You took what you got. Oh, wow. Oh, Comic Crack is here. Fantastic. Crack, hang in there, man. After the book I'm about to show, I got something that'll be right up your alley. You'll probably be more knowledgeable about it than I am if I haven't already shown it before, right? Anyway, here's the pop-up book I thought I got. I was talking about it a minute ago. I thought I picked this one up, but I love these pop-up books. I have a Buck Rogers one right there. But yeah, going back to my childhood, I'm not saying I had this, but I had a lot of pop-up books. But we have the Black Hole proper. Yeah, things move around. These are fun. Fantastic. I remember looking at the pop-up. What is this? That's for the other one. I remember having these pop-up books, and around the same time, I would have a Monster Maker. A Monster Maker was, you would get a choice of 3 plates. Each plate had a different head. One was a torso, one was legs. You'd mix them up, make a monster, put the plates down, put a piece of paper down, close this frame, and you would have a plastic piece with charcoal in it that you would sit there and scrape. You know what I'm saying? Scrape it across, and you would make a monster. I also had a Hero Maker or something like that. So there was a time where I'd have my little record player with my little singles, things like this Disco Duck, I'm sure is what I was playing and stuff. And then I would have my pop-up books, and then I would have my Monster Maker. And that's what I was doing when I was like 6 or 7 years old, right? So yeah, these pop-up books take me back. So I love when I find them in good shape. And now since we have Comic Crack here, king of the, I don't know what to say, man, king of the headshot books, king of the indie books, king of the eclectic, I present to you Early Barefoots. Let me see if I can get a better shot of this. Early Barefoots, right, from the early 70s. Now, with the culture that I grew up in with a stepdad and his friends and stuff of this era of the 70s, head shops was something that they would do a road trip for. And in the head shops, you would find the underground comics. You would find a little bit of crumb. You would find these things that started out at colleges. You would find very adult material cartoon stuff from France. You know, things like that were in my house all the way up to about 1990, where they started disappearing. So here we have from 70 to 73, early Barefoots, and it's exactly what you would think. But what gets me is the artwork is very crisp. That's why I liked it. It's comic strips with fantastic crisp artwork that would hold up today, I think, but it still has that early 70s feel with the drug culture and stuff, right? There's a strip here where it's just him walking along, and then all of a sudden he turns into a silhouette of the universe underneath a tree looking at it and stuff, right? Now, from this era, I'm a Von Baudet fan, okay? That's the stuff I like. A little bit of Crumb. I remember from when I was kids, Cheech Wizard. And of course, we had Wizards by Ralph Bakshi and using Von Bode designs and stuff from his stuff and everything like that. So when I see something like this, I'm definitely going to get it. I'm not in after being in that culture at the time, I call it the hippies who missed out on the love. I'm really hard on this stuff, even though it's fascinating. I can enjoy the work and stuff, but I'm not, it just brings up too many weird memories and stuff for me to enjoy artwork that's inspired by the drug culture and LSD and things like that. I saw those burnouts. I grew up with those burnouts. I saw what happened to them. You know what I mean? I'm like, the party's over, guys, But anyway, what was really cool is that you won't find this, but when I was digging through these comics over a month ago and stuff, there was another guy there going through the comics. We ended up having a conversation, and he ran out, and I may have already shown this, but he showed me his comic. He makes this, and apparently he's local. Probably within, I don't know, hour and a half drive of me. We'll say that's local. But all he does is that he draws it out, puts it on a fax machine, staples them all together. This is printing paper with his little indie book that he's doing, X-Ray Vision. And it's really fascinating. I love this stuff, So yeah, I have a comic book that probably only people locally have here. Okay. Two good things coming up here. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, we have comments. Let's do the comments. We got 3 more things to look at, and we'll call it a day, guys. All right. I had the spaceships. Oh, hello. They're just saying hello. I enjoyed the Black Hole film as well. I liked it. It blew. It had a retro feel for when it came out with that Disney film grade that they used. I thought it was a movie from when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I thought it was a movie from the late 60s or something. I had no idea it was a modern movie because of Star Wars. I found all that out later. Howard Cruz, I knew you would know it, Crack. When I actually bought that, I was hoping you would pop up on a stream. After Texas invades Canada for their comics, we're coming to Virginia, Tim. Hope you like cheerleaders. Well, if I have to go down, thank you for making it cheerleaders. That's all I'm going to say. College cheerleaders, please. Okay, Crack's got that. The Dallas kind. Okay, you went full football on me. Okay, football cheerleaders, even if it's got to be Dallas, I'm down. Gotcha. What a way to go. Absolutely. I saw a Monty Python skit where he got to choose his death, and it was topless roller skating girls taking him over a cliff. I've lucked up here with your sentence. I don't know if I might take my comics with me. I don't know. All right, guys, I'm winding down, so we just got a few more things to show here. I kept the price tag on this. I found this for $5.95, and it's never going to change. I like the Man of Steel movie. I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I got no problem with it and stuff, right? But for me, as a wee lad, as a kid who got excited because he had a babysitter the night that they showed the first Superman movie on ABC back when these things were an event, if you will, and then Superman 2. The magic of Superman 2 is what was wrong with a lot of comic book movies for a long time. They weren't really having a villain. A lot of the TV shows also, they didn't have villains they could fight with powers and stuff like that, right? So anything that's got the Superman, the first 2 Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, I'm going to buy. So here's a tabloid edition of just fantastic stuff. I hope it's showing up. Walking you through Superman 2. I will buy this stuff in any form, format, or whatever for a good price. And I could not believe this was $5.95. That's the whole point. Found an antique shop all day long, all day long. Love that stuff. And then I found this for $5 as well. Treasury Edition G.I. Joe, a little beat up. But, you know, I have some Treasury Editions in much worse shape. And for $5, how you can go long. This was the kind of thing that I would see at other people's houses and had no idea where they bought it or how they found it as I grew up. So, yeah, I'm down. That's very fun. And then these were also dollar books, and there's some keys in here. Not super keys, I don't think. I don't know. But I have another copy of Sandman Dream Theater, Dream Country, with this is the retelling. This is the first Shakespeare story with Midsummer's Night Dream, where Shakespeare has written a play after he had been commissioned by the Sandman to write 3 plays. And the first one was Midsummer's Night Dream, where his troupe ends up doing the play to the very fairies and stuff that he was writing about stuff, right? I got this takes like probably 4 or 5 copies, and I just recently got Charles Vest to sign about 22 books for me, and this was one of them. I tried to get him to talk about it. It didn't go anywhere. But this book is infamous because it won a Saturn Award? It won an actual sci-fi literary award, and it was the first comic to do that. And then they changed the rules to where it can never happen again. So, yeah. And then I got this. This is not their first appearance, but, you know, it's Alan Davis. I passed it up over the years. The first appearance of his creation, The Clandestine, was in a Marvel Comics Presents. So a lot of people will probably try to say, are we specking on a book, Tim? I'm like, no, it's not their first appearance. Who knows? But a lot of people, the way things happen so fast now, people will probably not do research and say this is their first appearance. But I'm going to check out Alan Davis. I didn't get this at the time because if I remember right, I had not read any of Alan Davis's writing. So I wasn't real interested. And then all of a sudden I read the JLA Nail miniseries, Superboy's Legion, and a few other things that he came up with. And of course I should have got Clandestine because he is a fantastic writer. He writes better than he draws, and he draws damn well, you know, so wow. So of course I'm going to get that. This was in the house, but these magazines did not survive. And I remember reading this along with I wasn't a Stephen King fan, and I'm still not a huge Stephen King fan, but I had to read Eyes of the Dragon because I found out it was a fairy tale for his kids, and I knew it was going to be a little bit warped because it's Stephen King. But of course, you know, the big watching Labyrinth and Dark Crystal and like, you know, having that never-ending story, you know, the little metalhead punk here still like into the D&D and stuff, right? So I remember reading this the same day that I started reading Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King, right? But this is Savage Tales #1 with some Mike Golden art inside. The first appearance of the Nam, you know, that ended up being a series, you know, and stuff like that. Can't really remember what year it is, but I was hoping this would be like another magazine that was like the return of glory for heavy metal, you know. So very 80s there. First issue of Savage Tales being brought back as a magazine. Grab this Vertigo. I'll grab this all the time because it has an exclusive Neil Gaiman story. And for you guys that were talking about the Sandman series and keep asking if I've watched the TV show on Netflix, Neil Gaiman, I did see where he said that he wanted to get everything he's ever written about Sandman out there. And it kind of makes me wonder if like this exclusive story in this Vertigo preview issue or whatever is going to do it, because this is a sneak preview of Vertigo books that are about to come out. The Death miniseries, Sandman Mystery Theater, and like I said, they threw in an original Sandman story by Neil Gaiman. So I would like be really interested if anybody even remembers this. I can't remember this story being in a trade, but that's just off the top of my head, and it's very short. I've been grabbing these left and right. Seasons of the Mist. It's my favorite one-shot story is Dream of a Thousand Cats. And then my favorite Sandman story that really got me juiced up about it was Seasons of the Mist, which is fantastic. I grabbed this because it's a first appearance. I already have it, but the first appearance of Lar Freeze. People thought he was going to be like a demon in the Spectrum of Green Lanterns, the emotional spectrum of the lanterns, if you will. But it turns out he was described to be more of a Muppet. He actually has a little bit of a fan base now. If they're still around, I don't know, but people absolutely fell in love with Larfleeze, and I'm like Larfleeze, something like that. But I didn't see it. I don't know, man. He was interesting. Another season of The Mist. I am finding these left and right now. Just throwing in these extras to go along with my complete set. They're in good shape for $1. I'm getting them. This is an upgrade. Now, this was disappointing when I first found this book. But this is a Batman Mike Mignola story, right? Written by a guy named Dan Raspler, right? And when I bought this, I was all excited because it's Legends of the Dark Knight. It's a one-shot story. It's a Mike Mignola Batman story I didn't know about. And then when I got home and took it out of the bag, mildewed. Yeah, so I was really glad just to find this for $1, to replace that one. And this is interesting. If Crack is out there, he might know something about this, but this is I want to say 1979 Fantagraphics book, right? Adventures of Popeye. It looks like a fanzine. It lists off all the cartoons and stuff from the 30s and everything, right? Popeye book, volume 1. Now, what's the significance of this? Now, I know a little bit about early days of Fantagraphics and kitchen sink and certain things to look out for, right? And this just goes into if you are really into comics, okay? This is when you've gone so deep into comics and stuff like that, that you don't know if anybody else is, you question, have you gone so deep, right? There's only 1,000 of these made. That's the only reason I bought this, and it was for $2. 1,000 of these made, early Fantagraphics books. Popeye, big deal. You know what I mean? I like my Popeye, don't get me wrong, but any book that early printed like that, and there's only 1,000 of them, I'm there. Okay. Did we go through everything? I think that's it, guys. Yes, we made it, and it only took 1 hour and 40 minutes. So I got to tell you, man, it's been a very, very fortunate. I've lucked up, man. Month of September, I've really lucked up, man. So I really appreciate this, man. So let's look at the comments, and if you got a question, now's the time to throw it out there. You've got me. Who's got you? Iconic line from Superman. The first Superman movie by Donner with Christopher Reeves and stuff, the first 45 minutes, I don't think has ever been touched by any superhero movie. I'm sorry, I'm not apologizing, including the Marvel movies. And there have been some iconic moments in those Marvel movies. It's not a slam on the Marvel movies and stuff. I remember watching Iron Man the first time, the first real Marvel movie. You had Blade and the Blade movies, and you had Howard the Duck before that. But I remember watching Iron Man, realizing that this is better than it should be. And then when Iron Man came out of that cave in the gray armor, I was like, they did it. They're doing all the way up to when I saw Infinity War for the first time. I came straight home. Shouldn't have been on camera. And I'm sitting there talking about it's justified all these years of collecting with that movie and stuff, right? But the first 45 minutes of the Superman movie with Richard Donner and stuff, I don't think I've ever been touched for what it did and what it's done. It's fantastic. Great storytelling. Donner's Superman reigns the standard for every superhero film. It's the best. There you go. Exactly. Paulo's here. All right. Fashionably Late is also. Yes. And it's probably like 8 o'clock where you're at. So I'm seeing you eating dinner while you're doing this. I don't know. Paulo Costa, Savage Tales Volume 2. A few of those stories appeared in a Brazilian magazine, Blood and Guts, and a couple of John Severin shorts. So this is why I love doing this, man. Right off the cusp, right there. International talk about comics and stuff. Getting told I love that stuff. What we got here? I've got that as well. Had no idea it was a Sandman story that didn't exist anywhere else. Very cool. I'm going to do some research to make sure I'm telling you right, but I don't remember it ever really popping up in any of my trades. I've got to go through my trades and stuff, right? Because it's been a while. I've been doing Sandman since about 1989. You know what I mean? Off and on since 89, but I'm 99% sure that it has been printed. But I'll message you on Instagram if I'm wrong or something when I finally get into looking at it. Now watch episode 11 of Sandman. That's fantastic. 6 and 11 are specifically for me. Okay, if I ever break down to do it, I will watch episodes 6 and 11, John. But you know, I it could be months if I even do it. Larfreeze and the cat Red Lantern were everyone's favorite at the time. Yes, yes, that cat, that Red Lantern cat. Yeah. Early Fanta, very nice. Another I've never seen out there. Looks like Canada is going to be team up with Texas when the invasion starts. Well, just bring football cheerleaders and I'll come quietly. Did you see Guar in the rain? It was sweet. Hope to see you then, but no luck. Great haul, but no, we didn't make it Saturday. This is the Blue Ridge Rock Festival that I was talking about at the beginning of the show. There, for people that don't know what he's asking me, I saw Anthrax, Alice Cooper, and stuff. We had to skip Saturday because the shuttle bus service was so bad that we did not get back into the hotel till 3 in the morning. And if we wanted to make it in time to see anything Saturday that we wanted to see, we would have had to been up at 7 or 8 o'clock to make the hour drive to stand in line for another 2, 3, 4 hours to get in to see everything. After 2 days of that, we just didn't have it in us, so we skipped that night. We had to. We needed rest, you know. And then what we got here, the opening to DC Super Pets did a good job too. Oh my gosh, I've completely forgot. Is that movie out this weekend? I guess it is. I'm waiting on Black Adam. I'm definitely waiting on Black Adam. I remember the place I used to work. I had one guy who knew talked comics and stuff and everything. He actually tried to self-publish and has some stories and stuff. But I think it was like around 2003 or four. People were getting curious about me at work because I'm a quiet guy. You gotta believe it or not, you got to corner me to make me talk. I'm completely different at work. And they were kind of asking Mike, they're like, "Oh, he's into comics like you." And Mike was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And these ladies were asking, they were like, "Well, what's his favorite superhero?" And he said Black Adam. We'd done enough talking that he knew Black Adam had been one of my favorites since about 1980 when I saw him in a Filmation cartoon on a kids show on Saturday mornings called Hero High. I have the VHS of all those Shazam. I already watched, I watched ISIS and Captain Marvel, those live action shows and stuff. But anyway, and they were like, "Who is Black Adam? Who is that?" You know, things like that. So I have legitimately been a Black Adam fan since I was about 7 or 8 years old. For this movie to be coming out of Black Adam starring in his own movie, you have no idea the. I mean, it doesn't feel real to me. I guess surreal is too weak of a word. Take the word surreal and find something that means something 10 times more. I never would have believed, even if somebody came back from the future and told me that there's going to be a Black Adam movie. I can't believe it. It's not the first time I've had this feeling, but this is the first time I've had it this strong. The Doom Patrol TV show did it to me. You know, I was like, whoever thought that? Now, if they ever do a proper Commandy show or something, you might just see me just drop right there in front of it. That's 3 for 3. Doom Patrol, Commandy, and Black Adam. Never thought any of those would be made. So, yeah. So I'm really excited about that Black Adam movie, which is probably why I've completely missed the opening of the DC Super Pets, you know. Okay, guys, that's it. I got a few comics to get bagged and board. I've got a comic I bought for $2 worth $150, Batman 423 for you guys that missed it, that iconic McFarlane cover, and some McFarlane Spider-Man to catalog and get bagged and boarded, get them put up. And then winter months are coming. And by the way, for anybody that cares, I don't know, I might do a weird kind of different kind of live stream. I've done one or two before. I wouldn't say they were horrible. I'm not saying they didn't take off, but it was interesting. But to save time, now that I'm doing all this traveling, I'm going to be doing Inktober. And for you guys that don't know what Inktober is, it's a social media thing where with using ink, you'll have a list of 31 words, and from those words, you're supposed to be inspired to do a picture a day or have it prepared and post one every day with the hashtag Inktober, hashtag Inktober 2022. They've done it for years, and I've never finished one. So I'm kind of determined to get this off the bucket list. So I may end up doing some streams where I'm doing real simple pictures, right? I've already got one for Gargoyle. I've already sketched it out. The second day is Scurry, and to give you an idea of that one, I've already sketched out the 4 penguins running with a word behind them. And then the third one is Scallop, and I've got an idea for that. So they give you random words. You can find the list by doing hashtag October 2022. So I don't know if anybody cares about that and stuff. You know what I mean? But I may end up doing a weird stream every now and then where you see me drawing like this and stuff so I can save time, because I got a feeling it's going to be a little exhausting, even just doing a simple picture a day. And some people like take a lot of time. People have already started preparing those pictures. I enjoy them. I'll follow the hashtags and enjoy them through the month. And I've gotten to where I had like 15 one time, and I never posted any of them because I'm not going to have time to do the whole month. So I think I'm going to try to finish this. It's not about winning, not about impressing anybody. It's a personal thing about finishing. It's like the marathon. It's not about winning. It's about finishing it. So I think I'm going to do that. I've already got a head start with three of them. Just got to finish them. All right, guys. Popped in as always. Let's be excellent to each other and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, man. Yeah, it's awesome, man. Later.